Welcome, Jonathan here again. I'm imagining you've watched some of the other videos, but you could just be jumping into this one. So this is a overview of the function of this tool, this integral coaching tool. And I want to talk a bit about the tools part now. So the tools, this is just some beginning applications of some of the things that these other tools can be applied to. So giving up smoking, for example, if you've got a tobacco habit, and this would be relevant, this is an example of how this tool could be useful for other things. This is really simple. It's if you've got an addiction to something, such as nicotine, imagining giving it up and seeing what feelings come up, and then flipping over to your inquiry module and either journaling about your experience here and then processing through whatever comes up, whatever emotions come up, whatever thoughts come up, whatever impulses and so on. Or if you have one of these patterns show up, like an intense resistance or one of these drives come up, processing through that, and then coming back to the tool and flipping to the other side, and it basically pops from one side to the other. Okay, imagine you continue smoking or drinking or whatever the habit is, right? See if that brings up any feelings. And then you're basically just going to go back and forth. And each time you see what comes up, and whenever you notice something significant arise, and you'll get more and more sensitive to your immediate experience in this way, then you clear it and then come back to it. So the clearing it part isn't going to make sense unless you watch the video on the inquiry module and how this works. But in a nutshell, it walks you through noticing what is, noticing what it's like to be with what is, welcoming the texture of it, identifying if there's any resistance to that, to being with what is, and then clearing the resistance by first welcoming it and then letting it go. And then there's a three-step process to letting go of resistance, because there's usually at least two obstacles to that. Am I capable? Am I willing? And then an invitation helps. So could you, would you, when? And the inquiry module will go through that process no matter what you're feeling, what's coming up for you. And that's what I mean by clearing it, is that we're identifying what's present, we're identifying what it's like to be with it, we're identifying whether there's any resistance to that, to fully allowing ourselves intimacy with the texture of our immediate experience, and then we're navigating that resistance in such a way that we're able to let go of it to some degree as best we can, and then coming back to being present. So that's that tool, which is just one example of how the inquiry module can be applied to more tangible things in our lives. The goals piece is another one. You write down a goal on a separate piece of paper that you want to work with, and then you imagine it complete and you see if it brings up any feelings. Right? This is really good. And then you imagine you gave up on it or failed at completing it, and you see if that brings up any feelings. And then you just loop back and forth through the two sides of it and clear. You're basically just mining and mining and mining unconscious resistance and then clearing it out of the way. See what else. Giving and receiving is a really good one. That was inspired by the Sedona method. I gave Hale credit here, Hale Dwoskin's Sedona method. You'll find him in the credits because he inspired a lot of this work. His ideas were inspiration for a lot of this. And you can find more. He's got a book called the Sedona Method that takes the process of working with one in control, security, and approval a lot further, and applies it to a lot more things. So you can find more there through his book or through his website or his videos. He's even got an app that I find useful myself. And then see anything else in the tools that I want to talk about. I noticed that the goals thing is really cool, and I'm going to be building that out a lot more. I noticed that I was distracting myself a lot, so I built a clearing for that, which is imagining giving up on distracting ourselves from our experience, and then imagining continuing to distract. And that, again, is going to go back and forth. It's intended that you stay with it until you say you're done. Each time you notice something come up, you're going to walk through this process on the inquiry tab, and eventually you'll notice that that actually starts to become automatic. And that's the goal here, is that our relationship with our immediate experience is for the most part, for most of us, largely unconscious. And yet it's got to be the single most fundamental leverage point in terms of the quality of our experience, is how we're relating to what actually is. So to continuously come back to relating to what is in a way that where we're consciously choosing to be present to it, we're consciously choosing to welcome the textures of it, and consciously choosing to identify the resistance, the unconscious resistance here, and letting it go. It's phenomenal. I'm just so thrilled that you are here and are considering trying this out. This whole tool has been really, really profound for me. But I guess the essence of what I'm saying is that it becomes automatic, and that's the intention. The intention isn't to create a tool here that we then need. Just like a good coach, will guide me through my static to find my harmony, guide me through my fear of worthlessness to find my sense of value, my intrinsic sense of value. But a phenomenal coach will make themselves irrelevant by teaching me how to guide myself. And while this can't be intuitive, one of the things it can do is guide you in, at your own pace, moving through this and setting new patterns. And if you use it enough, you'll find that you won't need it. It will start to become automatic. And that is the most profound gift that I could imagine giving to the world, is that possibility.